Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Jonathan. So if you remember back in, I think, January, the very beginning of January, I made a video about my new job in the Air Force and basically how my whole life changed, right? It was kind of clickbaity, but the video essentially was like my whole work life changing. So in that video, I kind of gave you like a broad idea of what I was going to be doing at my new job. And today I'm going to be giving you an updated video about 4 months later of what I do, what happened, and all sorts of stuff like that. So basically, back in January, I was working normal. I'm a sysadmin. Like, I work on really old computer systems. I mean, we were working on Windows Server 2008 R2. We keep websites up and we were maintaining the websites. I was patching, so I was patching a lot of the websites, and we do manual patching. It was some pretty old computer stuff. We pretty much strictly only worked on Windows, and it was a really chill job because we were maintainers in that shop in the Air Force. So basically, they took me out of there. Like one day I walked into work and they're like, actually, you're not working here anymore. You're gonna go work over there. So I was still technically a part of that OG office, but I was working for the other office, and it still is like that, but I'm gonna get there in a second. So basically, now I am working with automation, so to speak. I am working with 3DOX4s instead of 3DOX2. So I am a 3DOX2, which is a cyber systems operator, because we're operators, and 3DOX4s are computer programmers, right? So they do stuff with all sorts of programming languages, and just languages in general, whether it's Shell, Bash, YAML, Ansible, C#, like there's tons of different things. Yeah, so I'm gonna get there in a second. But basically, I work with programmers now in the programming flight on Scott Air Force Base. Basically, quick rundown, I had no idea what I was talking about in the first video. I haven't rewatched it, but I know I didn't because I made the video when I didn't know what was going on. The Air Force codes and programs in a very not like sustainable, like inefficient kind of way. The Air Force networks that we use are very secure. However, they're also very slow because they're older. The technology takes a long time to update because of all the security processes and all sorts of stuff that it goes through. And so basically what we're doing, and what some other teams in the Air Force and all sorts of stuff have done, there's like a whole backstory to that. I'm not gonna get into it, but there are teams, there's like XPI teams, basically. It's called the Extreme Programming Initiative. And also, I'm not an expert on any of this. This is just off the top of my head, basically what I do day to day and how my job has changed. So if you know more than me, I don't need you to be like a smart ass in the comments about it or anything like that, just because I'm trying my best, right? So there's the Extreme Programming Initiative and stuff, and basically we're taking the way that the commercial world does programming and implementing it into the Air Force the way that it should be, with DevOps, which is development and operations, and how they coincide and work together in a healthy interdependent relationship and all sorts of stuff like that. Because right now, basically, they develop applications and they make, whether it's like a web app or some sort of whatever. And since it's on the Air Force network and the Air Force is using it, it has to be really secure. You have to go through all the vulnerabilities and make sure that it's safe. And so it takes a long time to do that with the security process, because the security process is pretty slow. It's pretty old, but it's still good. It's just old, right? And so what we're doing is implementing a way to do that super fast off of the Air Force network while it's still safe to use. So we're not working on the Air Force network, which means we have super fast like internet speeds. We can use whatever resources we want. Right now we are working on CentOS 7, but we are doing tons of stuff with like VMs, and we're using Visual Studio Code, and I don't know, we're just doing tons of stuff like that. And basically we're using Concourse to build pipelines for security testing. So then, this is me speaking about it, not an expert here, but we're building these pipelines so that we can, when an application is made, we can run it through the pipeline. Security test is super quick in like a week or so, maybe even like less time, instead of it taking 3 months the normal Air Force way, and also being limited to the normal Air Force tools. And now we have like this whole world of resources with GitHub and GitLab and all sorts of stuff like that, right? Like we can go pull down anything we want, like with Docker and Packer and all sorts of stuff like that. So I know it's probably a lot of information. If you have no idea what programming is and all sorts of stuff like that, you're hearing all of these things and you don't know what any of them are. The things that we're doing are super new to the Air Force, and so we also are learning, and that's why I couldn't give you a really solid answer to the things that I was doing in January, because they didn't even really know like what we're doing because it's so new. When I first went, I was kind of mad because like I was like, okay, like I'm a sysadmin, like I work on servers. I don't understand what I'm doing here, programming, even though we're automating, because I was like sitting and coding all day long and it didn't make any sense to me. And now that I've done it for a while, I understand where we're transitioning to. I understand what the pipelines are for. And once the servers are up to host like these pipelines and all the services that we're going to use and the tools, it'll be our job as operators to maintain them. So what started as like a 4 or 5 man team, or started as like a 3-man team, then I joined, some other people joined, it was like a 5-man team, now has tons of people from my old job, because we're basically leaving all the old stuff that we were doing and we're transitioning into doing this automation and maintaining that. So it's kind of cool. It's definitely a lot more marketable to have this information and use it outside of the Air Force if I do end up going that route in my life for whatever reason and I don't end up going with art. But it's also really fun. Like we went from working with like old, like, you know, the stock like HP keyboards, and our office used to be very like bleed blue in the Air Force. It was very like, we were maintainers, and so we had to wait for things to break, which means we had tons of downtime. And so we were like the target office for volunteering and stuff. So when we were sitting around all day waiting for stuff to break, they would walk in and be like, we need 3 people to volunteer for this, and you're kind of always getting hit with stuff like that. But now that I'm working all the time, every day, all day, we're pretty much like, we're busy. You know, we're actually working. We're not just kind of waiting to work. And so it's kind of cool to actually be doing something that I kind of like doing. Anyways, the keyboards and stuff, we use mechanical keyboards over there. We work with pairing stations, which is, we kind of got that idea from this other program, but it started with Pivotal. If you know what Pivotal is, then you know. If not, you can look it up. But we use Pivotal Tracker. There's Pivotal, and like they work in pairing stations so that they can, I think it's like test-driven development, but I don't think that is test-driven development. We use test-driven development. I don't think it's related to pairing though, but pairing is basically working with another person. So the other person can catch mistakes that you're doing, or the other person can train the other person. So it's one computer and you're seeing the same thing on both screens all the time, and there's 2 keyboards and 2 mice. So each person can just swap and take turns. It's actually really efficient. It definitely kills time because those 2 people could be working more, but then if someone dies for whatever reason, or something happens, like, it's retainable because the other person knows what was going on, and now that the other person isn't there, then they can actually help the situation. Anyways, I just wanted to make a quick video about my updated job and like what I'm doing now. So it's definitely been interesting. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to leave them down below, because I think this is kind of new territory, not only for me, but for my channel, because before that, it was mostly just like the waiting around game. Like, I patch most of the time, basic Windows Server stuff. So now my job is literally completely different. I get out of the military in like 1 year and 7 months, and I am not gonna get BTZ or anything like that. So I'm pretty much doing this job for the next 1 year and 7 months. So that's kind of cool. I'm definitely gonna learn a lot by doing that. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you can be updated or notified when I upload a video, and also leave your ship dates down below so that you guys can communicate with each other. If you have any questions, leave them down there as well so that I can communicate with you. It is my goal, my main priority, to help you. That is the whole purpose of me making these videos. It is the whole purpose of this channel. I'm right about to hit 5,000 subscribers. I might even have hit it by the time you are seeing this video, so thank you so much for that in advance. But again, the whole point of this channel is to help you, so please feel free to drop the comments down below, because I wait for them to compile up a little bit, and then I scroll through for like an hour, like every weekend pretty much, and I just answer tons of questions and all sorts of stuff like that. So again, thank you so much for watching, and peace out.